I'm a big Boba Fett fan, as you can see by all my dumb toys here. So I've been kind of thinking about what do I want from that, and I don't want to get my expectations all wrangled up. But I figured I'd put together. Here are 7 movies that I wish a Boba Fett movie would take cues from. So here are some movies. If you haven't seen them, you should. Not going to spoil anything. Starting with Fistful of Dollars and Yojimbo. These are kind of the same movie. Yojimbo is a classic samurai movie, and Fistful of Dollars, of course, classic Clint Eastwood Western. The premise is pretty much the same. This total badass rolls into town where there's these 2 warring factions, and he basically plays both sides against each other. And like, that's so perfect for Boba Fett. Like, I would love it if he rolls into like some, middle of nowhere outer rim town, and you've got like the Hutts and the Whippets going against each other in some kind of weird Star Wars gang war. It could be like kind of small scale and really stylized. But like, this is a kind of a story where you've got this main character who doesn't say a whole lot, just kind of kicks ass. And then moving on, another one, Leon the Professional. This is there's Natalie Portman right there.
So Padme is going to be in the
No,
film?
I don't think that would make any sense. You'd have to retcon a lot to make Boba Fett training Padme. But I mean, like, Leon as a character is very like he doesn't say much. He's very like weird and shrewd and kind of keeps to himself. And again, he's a trained hitman. But then he winds up getting kind of like mixed up with this girl who he's like, I don't want to deal with her crap. But then he's like, maybe I could. So like, what if that's how you continue Boba Fett's universe, is you make him kind of like this old guy training this young new person, and then you have like a new character. I mean, they kind of there's that lady with the cool painted face who's like the snitch in The Force Awakens, Yeah. I forget her name, but she has a short story you can find on ebooks or whatever, and it's cool because it talks about her being trained to be an assassin. I don't know. I like that idea of somebody being trained. Anyway, another one. This one works really well. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Specifically Thunderdome, which is kind of like, people aren't really crazy about this movie as far as the Mad Max series goes. But it pretty much starts out with Mad Max as this like weirdo who's just wandering around in the desert. And then jerks take his truck, and he's like, I gotta get my truck back. And it's like, all right, well, what do you have to get your truck back with? And he's like, well, I can kick ass. So like, I don't know, maybe Boba Fett gets stranded somewhere. Like, he needs parts for Slave One or whatever. So he winds up kind of proving himself. And this could work with Boba Fett as like, a young character, and he's just kind of figuring out how to be cool. And I really love the idea of his ship getting stolen and having to go to war to find it back. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then of course, this is Midnight Run. This is kind of one of the original like, one of those buddy comedies where you've got De Niro, who's a bounty hunter, and then Charles Grodin, who's like, he's a mob accountant, and it turns into this whole kind of a buddy cop road movie where basically the FBI's after Grodin, and so is the mob, and he's trying to get them to like, I think like the witness protection or something. Yeah. So like the idea that Boba Fett's stuck with this guy he doesn't want to deal with, he just wants his money, he's trying to drag him on home. So like, imagine if he was like, I don't know, like an annoying Gungan smuggler or something, that it was like, yeah, the Hutts want you, the Empire wants you, and so does your family. Who's paying me the most? Let's find out.
I like that you keep hovering around like buddy cop stuff. It's very interesting for Boba Fett as a character. Yeah. You really only see him on his own. So that's a cool twist.
That's how you, I think, kind of give character to someone who's maybe not so interesting on their own. So here's another one, is 48 Hours, where you've got Nick Nolte, who's this like insufferably rigid, really just a real jerk of a cop, and then he gets teamed up with Eddie Murphy, who's this like smooth-talking criminal, and they basically have to work together to solve a case. This is different because Nick Nolte's a cop and Boba Fett's not really a cop, but I feel like you can have kind of a similar thing going on where they're after the same thing, and he needs somebody's help. But that's how you add personality to a cold, Mandalorian mercenary. And then of course there's Man on Fire. This is awesome. This is basically the Max Payne movie, Max Payne 3, pretty much. You've got this retired CIA guy who gets hired by this family to like take care of his daughter, be a bodyguard, and it's cool because he's kind of like, I don't really want to do too much action anymore. I'm done being a badass. I'm done being like this action hero. And then he gets kind of attached to this girl. She gets kidnapped, and he's like, all right, gloves are off. Let's take care of this. And he just proceeds to mess a bunch of people up. And then finally, Drive. Obviously, this is a movie about a guy who drives cars, which Boba Fett doesn't really do. This isn't so much his forte. But I do kind of like that he's, hello, Boba Fett. What are you doing up there? Oh, nothing much. Just hanging out. It's me, Boba Fett. Anyway, yeah, I like the idea of that. What? What did you say, Boba Fett? We're gonna do the thing with the. Anyway, but yeah, like Boba Fett, as this dude who's kind of keeps to himself, and maybe he does like weird odd jobs and stuff, but then, he develops like a softer side, getting connected with his neighbors or something. So there you go. Those are some movies that I wish that an inevitable Boba Fett movie could take some cues from.
I love that.
Maybe they'll never do it, or maybe they'll totally screw it up and be like, Boba Fett's a badass and he's gonna fight a bunch of guys, and I'll be like, I don't like this film. Let me tell you why.
Do you think it's a character they'll reintroduce through like the young Han Solo film or something else to kind of refamiliarize people with?
I would not be surprised one bit if he showed up in there
Before like he gets his own spinoff, because I mean, we all know he's cool, but I think a new generation needs to be reminded that there's something interesting there.
Also, like the character's changed a lot because they introduced him kind of in a canonical sense as Daniel Logan in Attack of the Clones, and then he shows up as again Daniel Logan in the Clone Wars series, and he's still like this like assy little kid. And I like the idea of this kind of like silent, controlled, very cool, almost like Judge Dredd-like character. And then he's shown up recently in the new comics, and he's kind of different. He's kind of more like angry. He's less like kind of calm and collected. He's more like, you know, and I'm kind of like unsure about what they're going to do with that character, but you know, there's different directions he can go. Like,
he had that whole scene in the comic where he basically rushes to Obi-Wan's house in a race with Luke Skywalker and gets in a fight with him.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more brash and less calculated than I think you'd expect from Boba Fett.
I like the idea that he's really like he's kind of just he really paces himself well.
He could have just been having a bad day.